So you're just surrendering to it and you feel the negative emotion. You just say, you know what? Hey, I don't care and I'm going to surrender to it. You know how if you're studying and you hear people talking in the background, you tune them out and you just focus on what you're studying? You focus on your Cybertruck, guys, and you forget about what's going on in the recesses or the periphery of your consciousness. And you just allow. And you surrender to that, and then the thoughts are going to come up. Oh, when am I going to get it? I don't have the money. Neville, when he was going to Barbados, he kept telling Abdullah, I have no money. And Abdullah slammed the door in his face, right? And he said, you are in Barbados. He said, it's stupid to discuss how you're going to get there when you're already there. He slammed the door in his face. I'm going to slam the door in your face, symbolically, and say, I don't care. Don't think about how I'm doing it right. That's all the path. That's all the middle. That will take care of itself when you go within and say, I've got my Cybertruck. Now, how's life going to give this to me? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Javier with The Real Javier Novoa. It's a channel where we talk about living free through the lens of interiorism, which is simply a knowing that the inner is the outer. And we are now continuing on with our, what I'm going to call, our Tough Love series, because as I said in the last video, there are a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of teachers and so on, that have simply become sounding boards for people not doing it, for people continuing to remain in their cycles, not surrendering to life, not understanding how the process works, not implementing the processes. And then they come and say, well, I still haven't gotten my wealth, I still haven't gotten my job. And then they coddle them. They say, oh, poor thing, just keep doing this. We're not going to do this on this channel. I want to shake you. I want to wake you up. And I want to show you the only process that works. Of course, the only process that works is a non-process. In fact, if you're still stuck in processes, that just means that you're still in the same modality. You're still in the by me mentality, and we're going to explain it in depth in this video. So I got a question from a subscriber, and I love it when you ask me questions, when you post comments, because a question like this, which was a great question, it gives me occasion to dive deeply, and it lets me know what aspects you're actually working with so that we can then laser focus on them in the videos that I make. So I got a comment from one of our subscribers, Sunny0002, and they said, so grateful for this video, and we're grateful for you watching also. That's why I'm here. It's not for any monetary benefit. It's for service. It's for actually helping people to understand and grasp these modalities. And I'm totally not averse to any tough love of honesty that you want to give. I also have a question, they say. When going into yourself and feeling like you already have what you want, which we talked about in the last video, that is basically the primary, shall we say, practice, if you want to term it that, of interiorism. You simply go within and you create the world that you want to see within, and you embody the energy of the person that has that or that is surrounded by that. So, and all of these modalities of burning away the dross, so to speak, are so that you can get singularly focused on what it is that you want, so that you can embody that. And they say, how long should one do that for? So, immediately we're introducing the aspect of time. And this is the unique proposition of interiorism, because most other modalities, even the greatest, and they are well-intentioned, and they do work, but they introduce time into their process. And what time does is introduce separation. And what we have to realize when you're on a spiritual path, what you eventually will realize through introspection, through contemplation, is that time is a mental construct. Time doesn't exist. In fact, time can only exist when you're living in that multiplicity. We're going to explain that a little bit. And when you're living in that multiplicity, then you have to try to do something to get what you want. Notice the questioner's tone here. I tend to do it, I'm guessing they mean going within and imagining, literally just 1 second, and then I feel satisfied. You've got it. It's that satisfaction, it's that relief that means that you have it. It actually means that you've surrendered to it. We're going to talk about this in the context of surrender. Manifesting what it is that you desire means basically surrendering to the state. There are infinite states in the universe. There are infinite film rolls, as Vadim Zeland in Reality Transurfing calls them. And getting on that simply means surrendering to that, accepting that. And you'll know that when you have that feeling of satisfaction. And don't want to go any further, but is that too short? So here again, we're introducing doubt. And we're holding ourselves in the vibration of doubt. I feel like maybe I should do it for a longer time, otherwise it may not fully take hold. So I want to give you the essence of interiorism here so that you can understand what we're about to say when we say you have to take time out of it. Once you introduce time, you're simply creating a film roll in which you're held back from what you want by time. And when you don't know how long the time period is, that introduces more doubt. So we're using these tools, right? And these tools are meant to be used as games. But when we use them as means towards achieving something, they lose their purpose, and they actually serve to hold us in the vibration of longing for that thing, and that is craving, which simply creates more suffering. I hope you understand me just a little bit. So we have to start from the beginning. There are 4 different modalities that people live by, and everyone lives by them. Most people are in multiple of these, or at least 3 of them throughout the day. I know I am. Sometimes you're at the bottom, sometimes you're at the top. No one really stays in one, but you can practice yourself into predominantly being in one of these 4 modalities. And guys, for those of you who are against high tech or don't like technology, you might want to turn this video off, because I've got some very, very high tech diagrams that I want to show you here. Just kidding. I want you to first focus on this graph if you can see it. And on the x-axis on the bottom is results, guys. And we're just looking at this from the point of view of results that we want to attain. We haven't really gone into the ultimate or deep spirituality yet. It's going to help us get there. And then on the y-axis we have effort, or we have struggle, which is effort times time. I couldn't find a better way to express this, but there are 4 modalities. The first modality, when we start to use our intellect, guys, when we start to observe what's around us. See, babies, they observe what's around them and they simply react because really the reptilian brain is still predominant, and that their cortex has not grown yet to the extent, nor is their frontal lobe where they can start reasoning. So babies are basically below this point, and they're just sort of in surrender, but it's a mechanical surrender. But when they actually do start reasoning, and when we, gain our full use of reason and logic at 12 years old, most of us start in to me. That's a modality, guys. It's a way of living. It's called to me. And to me is where we start simply observing the fact, and I talked about this in the previous video, it's where interiorism starts, it's where we all start. If you're reasonable, you start just observing what's around you and you realize, hey, this is a big place and I have very little power and there's not really much I can do. At first it seems like there's nothing you can do because there are just all these forces. And believe it or not, some people stay in Toomey all their lives. They live and die in Toomey. Now, as a practical reality, they go above that. Otherwise, they could not survive unless they're being taken care of by others completely. But they remain in Toomey. And Toomey is embodied by the victim mentality. It's shoot. You know, there's nothing I can do. I was dealt a bad hand. And I'm just in total defensive mode. And most of those people don't survive, unfortunately. Now, most of us rise above Toomey. And how do we do that? Well, as we develop in our educational abilities, as we develop in knowledge, we realize, well, there are some things on this earth that I have influence over. And in fact, if I take full effort and I work hard, there is a lot I can do. Now, between Toomey and by me, between those, that's where the majority of humankind abides. And the people who are more empowered, and perhaps people who get into self-help, or people who are just naturally hard workers in school and in work, they get to by me. And by me, again, basically means I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen, but I have to make a lot of effort. It's hard work, guys. And if you see on the graph, by me gets a little bit more of the results, a little bit more results than Toomey. It's very hard to sustain those for a long time. Some people do. Those are high achievers, guys, but they burn out really quickly. And by me can best be described as Ayn Rand's philosophy. If you don't know who Ayn Rand was, she was a novelist from Russia and the United States. She wrote Atlas Shrugged and The Virtue of Selfishness. And there's a lot of great material in her works, guys. And it really does help one if one wants to get out of Toomey and one wants to leave the victim mentality and go into by me. Those works really help. And she says, we need to figure out what exactly it is that we can do, and we need to just work hard and apply that. It's a healthy modality, but the problem is, if you stay there, you're just going to wind up probably middle class, but you're not going to be very fulfilled. And if you try to rise higher than that, you might be able to do that, but you're going to get burned out, and you're not going to be able to sustain your life energy. It's very few people, and I know that the majority of the people who watch our channel have been there and are there. I know you're there, the questioner, a lot of the time. Again, I said that we transfer between these modalities many times each day, but the next modality is through me. And if you look at through me, you're getting very high results and you're getting very low effort, guys. This is the sweet spot. It's what Abraham Hicks tries to teach. It's what many of the self-help teachers get there. Abraham Hicks teaches it. Eckhart Tolle teaches it. Bashar definitely teaches it. Paramhansa Yogananda taught it. And it basically means that instead of trying to take action, you see and recognize that if you will adapt yourself to certain states, and they all end up in surrender and relaxation, then you can simply direct by the power of your mind, by the power of what you want, you can direct the universe to actually bringing about results that you want. And that is probably what the majority of our channel teaches. Because higher than through me is the ultimate, guys. And this is a state which a lot of us taste. Many of you have tasted it. But to make it a lasting state, that's going to require something that's beyond my channel. I'm not going to be able to teach you this, but it's called as me. And we talk about this in the channel. As me, look, it's zero effort and infinite results. That's why I drew it on the line. And that is recognizing that you are the one and that there is no one named Javier. It's not a dissolution of the ego, because the ego remains. In fact, the ego is useful, but it's putting everything into its proper place. And from that vantage point, you simply observe, but there's nothing happening because it is all you. So how could something happen to you? Seeing through me, things are going through me. I am getting manifestations and so on and so forth. That is the modality of manifesting. But in as me, there's no separation, so nothing's happening. However, on the outer, it seems like something's happening. And another thing that we have to realize is that each of these modalities, they include the ones below it. And I'm going to explain it a little bit. So if you look at this little graphic, as me includes through me, by me, and to me. So if you're just abiding in that master state of I am, then of course things are happening, but people will be able to observe them that, yeah, that person's being provided for, that person's being taken care of. If you read the Quran and you look at Maryam alayhi salam, or Mary, she was granted food. Zakaria went to her room and to her mihrab and found she was given food. And he asked, where did you get this? And she says, from my Lord. That's just being provided miraculously. So it's coming through me as you're abiding in by me. And then, of course, as you're abiding in as me. And then, of course, by me. You see a lot of these people, these great masters. They're taking action. They're serving. But they're not doing it to get a result. And this is the main focal point of this video. They're simply doing it because it's flowing out of them. And then, of course, to me, of course, becomes positive, and great things are happening to me because of all this. But I'm abiding in as me. Through me as well, it includes everything below it. I hope you understand me just a little bit. So here's why I wanted to give you this whole primer. Because the questioner asked, I've been doing these imaginal acts for 1 minute, but she's asking about the time, or they're asking about the time. That means that you're trying to use these tools in by me. You're trying to work the tools. And guys, ironically, that can work. You see, a lot of the Abraham Hicks material uses by me to implement these processes so that we can bring about something, or bring about the result that we want. But it's still sort of hard work. We're just not working on the outer. Now we're doing inner work. And by inner work, I mean we're making an effort to get vibrationally in line with this. And that's the other part that I wanted to address about this question. They said, am I doing it right? How much time should I do it? You see, if you look at the law of attraction, the whole measure of the success of a process, be it a focus wheel, be it affirmations, be it imagining, is that it helps you to get in vibrational resonance with what you want. You have to vibrate on it. You see, everything is vibration. We know this from physics. We know this from science. Let's say you want a car, right? Very simple. Look at this very high-tech diagram here, guys, that was made by AI. So here you are, and you're vibrating. And here's the vibrations of this beautiful Cybertruck that you want, right? If your vibrations equal the vibrations of the Cybertruck, you have the Cybertruck. And because of the, shall we say, gap of physicality, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it will get there. It's what Abraham Hicks calls the interval of time, a very small interval of time, or what Neville Goddard says, a bridge of instance. Well, a bridge of instance will bring it to you, but the problem is you've got to vibrate that way the majority of the time. I know Abraham Hicks says 51% of the time. And how do I know that I'm vibrating with what I desire? It's very logical. If I desire something and it feels good, it's going to feel good if I desire it, otherwise I wouldn't desire it, right? then when I'm on the vibration of what I want, I'm feeling good. Now, there are a lot of nuances to this, because you could ask, well, every feeling has a flavor, but it's basically correct, guys. And you can see the emotional scale of Abraham Hicks. On the top is love, and the very top echelons of that sink in very, almost perfectly with asmi. If you're asmi, you're living in love. As Yogananda said, the key to all of this is love, love, love. And then, of course, you have happiness and good attitudes and so on and so forth. And that corresponds with through me. You're just happy. You're enthusiastic. You may not be completely in love, but you're enthusiastic, and that's through me. And this is where your desires are coming to you, guys. That's in the law of attraction. Then in the middle, you have boredom. That's kind of like, eh. And by the way, from anger or hatred to boredom, that's by me. Because why? When you're angry, you're motivated to do something. I'm angry and I'm going to go do this. And a lot of times these people get what they want. But how do they get what they want, ladies and gentlemen? We've talked about in previous videos. Well, they work very hard. It's what scientists call the focus mode. And then they relax, guys, because they say, you know what, I've done everything that I need to do. And a lot of this is about deserving stuff. And deserving is just an invented concept. There's no such thing in the universe as deserved or doesn't deserve. Does water deserve to flow down, a water fountain? Does the lake below the water fountain deserve to receive the water? There's no deserve. It's just that's the law. It receives the water, right? But people say, I have to deserve it. That's what a lot of this buy me mentality is. Well, I'm not worthy, but if I do enough work, if I work 12 hours a day, then I'm worthy. Once they feel that deserving, guys, they relax, and it's by that relaxation, getting up here, is when they get what they want. But they don't understand that, and they say, well, it was because of my hard work that I got what I want. I hope you understand me just a little bit. And it's the same for people applying processes. Did I apply this process correctly? Do I deserve? I've only done it for 1 second, Javier. I don't think I deserve the result, right? And that gets them down the emotional scale. Now, what most people are caught up doing in this manifestation work is making effort to make sure that they're on the higher levels of that scale. And if I drop down the scale, then am I doing it right? And if I feel bad, will I get it? They're worried about will they get it. And what are they doing, guys? Because remember, all of the levels below a certain block, below, say, by me or below through me, are included in that block. So that it's all interrelated. So people are holding themselves from what they want by being in a state of, well, I need to deserve to get what I want. So that's why interiorism, the whole reason for this long-winded explanation, is to explain why interiorism bypasses all that, guys, and how it's perfectly in accordance with all of these sciences. Law of attraction, law of assumption. Again, law of attraction says, get into the vibration of what you want, and if that vibration equals what you want, then you get what you want through time. But guys, if you're worried about the time, you're not going to get it very easily. It's going to be effortful. So what interiorism does says, forget about time. Look, I have a desire, right? You desire, I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was a specific person. They didn't say, but you desire something. Let's say it's a car. Well, if you're in the modality of by me, but trying to get to through me, then you're saying, I imagine it for 1 minute. Is that enough? I imagine it for 1 second. Forget about all that, because if you get into through me, and even better, if you can get into some level of asmi, and asmi is surrender, by the way, then what you'll do is, let's say you want a car, you'll forget about the path to it. You're just going to imagine that car and drive it for the enjoyment of it. So, let's say you want a Cybertruck. I don't know what it is you want, right? Whenever you feel the lack of that, and it'll happen again, just say, you know what, there is no time. It's in me, and all this is passing through me, and all this is me anyway, so I'm just going to give it to myself. Now, there's no difference between the imaginal and the physical, so I'm just going to close my eyes and actually drive that Cybertruck, guys, until I feel like I have it. Then there's a release. And what is all this? What do we teach you to do on this channel? What does Joe Dispenza talk about? Becoming the person. What does Atomic Habits talk about? You have to take on the personality of what it is that you want. Guys, it's surrendering to what you want. Now, I talked about in previous videos that the ultimate level of this is as me, and it's surrendering in each moment. It's being completely present in each moment. It's opening your heart. Now, you don't have to think about it. A desire came up for that Cybertruck. Now just close your eyes and surrender to the fact that you have that Cybertruck. And stop thinking. You use your mind as a tool. Eckhart Tolle says, let's say you had a hammer. You don't take your hammer to lunch with you. If you're at work and there's a problem that needs logical thought, you think. Otherwise, you don't need to think. You can just be that observer. So you want your Cybertruck. Now drive that Cybertruck to your heart's content. Now if you can go test drive it, that's even better. But you work with what you have. You have your imagination. And we know from the great philosophers that this is all imagination anyway. So just close your eyes and surrender to driving that Cybertruck. While you're imagining it, you might say, well, am I doing it right? That's okay. That's just a thought. Ignore it and go back to your Cybertruck. Surrender to it. And then when you feel complete in that, now here's the real holding yourself in the desire. This is the real persistence. Now you say, you know what? I'm just going to be in the present moment and I'm going to observe what happens. I don't care what happens. Because why? The path is within me, and whatever happens is going to be the path to my Cybertruck. They could come repossess your car, and then 3 months later, your Uncle Fred says, hey, I just wanted to send you this $200,000 check for the Cybertruck. That was your path. Whatever happens, you just keep yourself in surrender. You say, you know what, I'm going to experiment today. I'm just going to be with whatever happens, and I'm going to open my heart. And I'm going to have no preference and no desires. You see, law of attraction is about attaining your desires. Interiorism is about having no desires. Why? Because without taking thought, whatever you desire, you provide it for yourself. It is provided for you. You sustain yourself using the tools of imagination, using the tools of state, using the tools of surrender. You just surrender to it, then you have it. And then you just observe and you're with whatever's happening. You're completely in the present moment. You're in I am. So I hope this video helps a little bit. Stop asking, am I doing it right? Because you can't do it right. As Paul said in the Bible, these laws were given to the Old Testament to show them that they could not do it. You cannot apply these laws. No one can. What you do is you forget about all that. You give it to yourself now. Stop demanding of life that it supply you with something in a time frame and let it do it, and it's going to blow your mind how life just falls over itself to give you exactly what you want. But you have to let go. You have to surrender. First of all, you have to surrender to what it is you want. So again, let's say it's a Cybertruck. You can write the letter C on a piece of paper. You can list what it is you want from it. I want a beautiful, smooth ride. I want protection. I want to feel, wealthy. And then you say what you want to feel. I want to feel the emotion of joy. I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel cool. And then you just close your eyes and you see that letter and you associate that. And guys, at first it's not going to seem natural, and that's okay. Forget about your emotions, because your emotions are going to fall into line. Because while you're doing through me and as me, all the stuff below is going to fall into line, because every higher block contains the lower block. So you're just surrendering to it, and you feel the negative emotion. You just say, you know what? Hey, I don't care, and I'm going to surrender to it. You know how if you're studying and you hear people talking in the background, you tune them out, and you just focus on what you're studying? You focus on your Cybertruck, guys, and you forget about what's going on in the recesses or the periphery of your consciousness, and you just allow. And you surrender to that, and then the thoughts are going to come up. Oh, when am I going to get it? I don't have the money. You know, Neville, when he was going to Barbados, he kept telling Abdullah, I have no money. And Abdullah slammed the door in his face, right? And he said, you are in Barbados. He said, it's stupid to discuss how you're going to get there when you're already there. He slammed the door in his face. I'm going to slam the door in your face, symbolically, and say, I don't care. Don't think about how I'm doing it right. That's all the path. That's all the middle. That will take care of itself when you go within and say, I've got my Cybertruck. Now, how's life going to give this to me? Let me be completely open. Whatever happens, I'm just going to receive it. If it makes me feel bad, all the better, because then I get to deal with all those emotions. And how do you deal with it? You just breathe. You feel your heart chakra. You open your heart. You just let that pass through. And today you're going to start feeling better than you have in years if you do that. So thank you guys so much. I just wanted to answer that question, and this is continuing in the series of tough love here with the real Javier Novoa. If you find value in these videos, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos. Let's benefit the world. And if you want to work with me in coaching or consulting, I will put my email in the description. Let's make more progress in the next few months than you've made in years. Many people will make in years of your life. Till very soon, this is Javier bidding you a wonderful weekend.